Hello, I am Keion Henderson, and welcome to Taking Action with Keion, the podcast. I believe that one of the best things you could ever do for yourself to achieving your goals and to taking your life to the next level is to take action. So many people are enthralled, enamored in the quest for how can I get my life to the next level? How can I achieve my dreams? How can I take this ordinary experience and make something extraordinary out of it? Well, I believe that all of that is hidden in the small corner that I'd like to call action. When you hear somebody use the terminology take action, you typically focus more on the action. And although the action is very, very important, I think your emphasis should be on the taking. It is a wide thought process, an extraordinary spectrum, if you will, as it relates to this topic of action. Everybody wants to take action. Get up and go. Get up and do. Get up and fight. If you're in the hip hop culture, you're familiar with this terminology. We talk about grinding all of the time. But all of it, no matter if you're old or young, no matter if you're rich or poor, it's all action oriented. And although the action is the portion of the phraseology that gets the most attention, I'd like to focus on the taking. See, when you define the word take, it means to get into one's hold or possession. You see, action is not going to come to you. Action will not be given to you. Action is not an heirloom that can be passed down from generation to generation. You see, if you're going to do anything in this life, you're going to have to take it. Nobody's going to give it to you. There is nobody coming in a boat with a siren and a flag and a flare gun that's going to let you know, and I'm coming here to rescue you from your life, or I'm coming here to rescue you from your pain, or I want to rescue you from your past. No, it's not going to happen that way. You're going to have to take this next level and dimension of your life. So take is the operative word. Action is defined by Merriam-Webster's dictionary to do something, to act in order to get a particular result. You see, when I read that lets me know that results are taken. The results are not given. Results are not passed on. Results are not wrapped in some sort of matriculous box with a great bow on it and wrapping paper that's fit for folding away and using at another season of your life. No, sometimes action comes raw, unfiltered, without any prospectus, without any guidelines, without any books, journey materials, no fanfare. It just has to be taken. And I want to talk to you today, and I hope that this particular podcast is reaching you right where you are, whether you're in your automobile or whether you're at home or whether you're in the office, and you just needed a pep talk to figure out, how am I going to get out of this job that I don't want to be in, or how am I going to achieve the next level of my vision and my destiny? Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't know how long it's going to take. And I don't know how hard you're going to have to work at it. But I do know this. I do know that you're going to have to take it. What are you going to have to do to accomplish your next level? Take it. What are you going to have to do to get on the fast track to success? You're going to have to take it. And when you take action, you've got to make sure that the action that you take is a smart action. I used to play basketball, and our coach used to say to us, you have to learn to work smart and not work so hard. The world is full of people who are working hard. Some of you woke up this morning at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't get home to 9 o'clock at night, but you're still unfulfilled. You're still frustrated. You're still angry. You're still mad. And you know what? Some of you downright want to quit. And you've got this dream, you've got this hope, you've got this vision that if you could ever work in that area, your life would be better. But yet you put the dream off for tomorrow, or yet you put the dream off until you can afford it, or yet you put the dream off until the perfect time. Or as my mother used to say, fixing to do it. She used to say, you can get that out of your vocabulary, because as long as you're fencing to, and I may not be saying that right, but you know how it was said in your house, you're about to, you fence to. No, you've got to get up and you've got to take action. When is the best time to take action? Not tomorrow, not next week. The best time to take action is now. You've got to have a goal, and that goal has to be according to a plan. And that plan has to be a smart plan. Now, maybe you're saying, well, Keion, that's easy for you to say. You've already achieved some of your dreams. While that may be true, it was not easy when I started. I am a young man born to a single mother who worked at Taco Bell and made $7 an hour and took care of 4 children in a 2-bedroom, 800 square foot apartment that to this day no longer exists. I went home recently to do a business deal, and when I went up the street that I used to live on, the apartment that I had grown up in, the apartment that I left and went to my elementary school in just 2 streets down the road, had been completely demolished. It should have been demolished when we were living in it, but Mom did the best that she could do. But I've been able to get where I am today and talking to you because I was able to get from just working hard to working smart. If you're going to achieve your dreams, your goals have to be smart. I'm going to give you those smart goals, and then I'm going to come to you in the next half of this talk and explain to you exactly what those are. If you're going to achieve your dream, it has to be smart. SMART, smart. It must be specific. It must be measurable. It must be achievable. It must be results oriented, and it must be time focused. Again, SMART, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, results oriented, and time focused. So the first part of having a SMART goal is the S. The S means to be specific. Let me tell you a funny story. My 5-year-old daughter, Caitlin, has a small Bichon Frise, small puppy. His name is Armani. She loves him to death. She loves him so much that when she misses him, she sits in his bed. One day, myself, Caitlin, and Armani were walking down our street, and I asked my daughter, "What did you learn in school today?" She said, "You." Now, you have to understand why this doesn't make sense to me, because my daughter goes to a school that I founded a school called Abbey Preparatory Academy. It's a private school here in the city of Houston, and my daughter was one of the first students to attend the school. So I say to her after a long day at school and after a long day at work, I said, "Baby, what did you learn today at school?" She said, "You." I said, "Me?" She said, "Yes, you." I said, "You learned about me at school today?" She said, "No, Dad, I learned about the letter U." You see, the more specific that she got, I learned the difference between the letter U and me. What am I saying? The more specific you become, the more clarity you will have. I'm afraid that some of us are in the face of our goals, and we don't know whether it's the letter U or the word you. I'm imploring you to become specific and let the universe know, let your faith know, let your mind know the difference between an idea and a goal. You've got to be very specific. If there is one thing that I am not, it's a handyman. Everything in my house has to be fixed by somebody else. That even includes the food. I am not good with my hands. I have to admit it, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm not ashamed to tell you that if my oil needs change, I have to take it to somebody. Most times I don't even know where the oil goes. You may say that sounds funny. I say, thank God that I don't have to know where the oil is. But let me tell you something. One of the most important lessons I was taught by a carpenter friend of mine that owns his own construction business. When I asked him, because I am business oriented, how did he save so much money? He says, I measure twice and I cut once. I didn't know what he meant when he first told me that, but now I understand as I am older that he understands that the more mistakes that you make, the more costly it is to do business. He measures once, he measures twice, he measures 3 times so that there is no room for error. And then he cuts once. Whatever this dream or whatever this goal that you have in your heart, in your mind, and in your soul, I want you to measure it over and over and over and over again. I want you to measure it and ask yourself, is this what I want to do? And if I do it, how much is it going to cost me? And if it costs me this, then how much of that do I have? And where am I going to get the money? And if I have the money, what do I have to give up? And if I give up A, how will I pay for B? I want you to measure that goal up against time, measure it up against age, measure it up against stage, measure it up against income, measure it up against all of the obstacles and the benefits that are facing you so that you can cut one time. So we're talking about your goal being SMART. The S means it has to be specific. The M means it has to be measurable, but the A means it has to be achievable. Do you know that you can do some things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it was achievable? I know achievement typically means results, but if you look up the word achievable, it actually means to be able to be brought about or reached successfully, which means that there are some goals that you can reach and not be successful. If the goal is going to be achievable, we want to make sure that the goal is achievable with the greatest amount of success. That means that you've got to understand the difference between success and finishing. You can finish the cake. You can put the vanilla abstract in the mix, and you can put the eggs in the mix, and you can measure it with the oil. And again, you know I'm not very good with my hands, but you hear me explaining something that I've seen 1,000 times, but I do know that you can finish a cake and it not be good. I know you can put it in the oven at 350, and I know you can bake it, and I know it could rise, but just too much flour or not enough eggs or way too much vanilla extract will get you to a finished product, but it wouldn't mean that you were successful. A successful cake is one that is nice and fluffy and tasty and has the ability to be shared so that all those who partake can say, this was good to me. So finishing doesn't necessarily mean success. You want to make sure that this goal that you have is achievable so that when you cut it down the middle and you share this success with all of those who are in your life, that they can taste and see that the product is good. Make sure that the goal is achievable. So now we know that our goals have to be SMART, and now we know they have to be specific, measurable, achievable. But fourth, they must be results oriented. Here are 4 ways to become results driven in your work, in your business, in your line or your field of influence. Number 1, make sure that when you work on the project, that the project has measurable results. Yes, I'm repeating myself, but there is an old story about a businessman who started a new company. And when he started the new company, he had the same 1-page agenda for 500 meetings because sometimes results have to be preceded by repetition. So make sure that your work is measurable. Number 2, turn everything you do into a documented study. In other words, every step that you take, make sure that you document it to ensure that when you are at your next goal, you're not shooting in the dark. No, you have a plan. You have a prospectus that you can lay the next goal on top of. Number 3, find ways to measure your outcomes. I don't know how you're going to measure yours, but here are some hints. Money, influence, access, time, affordability. Can you afford to even do what you're asking, or do you have the courage or the credit to walk into a bank so that you can leverage somebody else's resources? See, all of these are measurable outcomes. And fourth of all, if you're going to be results oriented, be sure to always end with this idea: how can I improve on the work I've just done? This last portion of a SMART goal is of grave importance. Just yesterday, I sat in my office and I had a discussion with one of the employees here at one of my businesses. And as I began to talk to her, she began to tell me about how frustrated she was that she did not have enough time to finish all of her goals. I began to say to her, you know that you and I have the same amount of hours in the same day? To that, she replied, yes. I said, do you agree that I have 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 100 times the responsibility? Her reply to that was yes. So my question to her, how are you struggling at handling some of life's most simplest outputs when you don't have as many responsibilities as me? As she looked at me with a gaze, I finally recognized that she was extremely talented, but she did not have great time management skills. You've got to make sure that with whatever you do, that time is of the essence, that time is the only thing that you cannot get back, that the time that you have in this life, it has already been signed, sealed, and delivered. So it is your best effort to ensure that you are utilizing your time to the best of your abilities, which will ensure that you are in fact achieving a SMART goal. Don't waste time watching television, because if you're watching television, you probably will never be on it. Don't waste all of your time at the golf course, or don't waste all of your time watching a TV show live that you could TiVo, that you could watch on Netflix, that you could DVR and watch at a later time and date. You've got to guard your time, and you've got to not let anybody rob you of that time, because if people can take your time, guess what? They can also take your goals. So let's recap over what we've just talked about. You've got to take action. Action is not delivered, it must be taken. Action itself means to do something, to act in order to get a particular result. And so we learned that results have to be taken. They are not gift wrap. They don't come with bowls. Sometimes they come raw. Sometimes they come with tears. But in the end, you'll be glad you took action, because your dreams will live and you will feel alive. You will feel achieved, and you will feel some sort of worth within yourself. Our goals have to be SMART. They've got to be specific. They've got to be measurable. They've got to be realistic, so we call that achievable. They've got to be results oriented, and they've got to be time focused. I want to say something, though, about realism. When I say a goal must be realistic, I mean only realistic as it relates to the achievement of that moment. But I want your dreams to be so big that nobody would believe them. In fact, as unrealistic as the big picture can be, that's what I want you to see. Yes, the steps have to be realistic, but the dream, it does not have to be. I want you to dream as big as you can. I want you to think you can go as far as you can go. And people may laugh at you along the way, but you will soon counter their smirks with a SMART plan that will allow you to be specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented, and time-focused.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends and colleagues it's time to take action and subscribe to this podcast. Follow Keion Henderson on social media at Pastor Keion. Visit the website daily for lifestyle, leadership, and learning at KeionHenderson.com. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep doing life.